Yes, welcome in a Hold My Banner. George Balekji Ountae Campbell with you guys. Me coming in from the backyard, Ountae Campbell from our Nesson Studios. Hey, how we doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. You were the dogs be, dog. You're out there. What did Velo do? He had the dogs barking for his commencement speech or whatever you want to call it, his speech
Exactly,
to the Hall of Fame. That's where you at. You outside where the dogs are, dog.
That's what it is. I'm looking for some dogs. Once I'm into the whatever Hall of Fame, the very low standard Hall of Fame, I need some dogs barking for me at the ceremony. Nah, stuff happening with the house. You'll find out one day, Tay. When you hear the words electrical inspection needs to be done, you're like, okay, whatever. Let me get into this place. That and people I'm living with right now under the weather. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do the show outside, fresh air. Feels like fall, almost winter. That's the thing. Like, it's an early fall here right now in Boston. Means it's almost winter, closer to the Celtics season. So I'm gonna do this nice and outside. You're looking cozy in the studio. I like what we got going down today, my man.
I'm a little cold right now. It's a little warmer outside than it is in here in the studio right now. But I can tell you, fall's in like 2 weeks. I think it's September 22nd is the day. I'm excited for it, George. I'm ready for it because, like you said, that means basketball. That means we're getting more football. Like, I'm excited for it. You know what I mean?
Sundress season's going away. It's now going to be hoodie season. Super quick. That's what it means. So let's start off the show. As you always like to do, it's getting close this Celtics season. We're still going to talk proposed trades because it's the dead era, the dead part of the offseason for the NBA. So this one you sent me, this is interesting. Nikola Vucevic, Celtics receive him from the Bulls in exchange for Anfernee Simons. Vucevic, 35 years old, pending free agent, vet, big man, front court presence. Anfernee Simons, well, he's 26. 9 years younger, pending free agent, wing, shooter, point guard, electric player. Tay, I'm not doing this, but you're saying this my way, so we got to talk about it, which I love. Are you making this trade, my man?
With the quickness?
We'll get into it. It is an interesting trade, but for the timeline of the Celtics, I'd rather hold on to Anfernee Simons for a multitude of reasons, which we'll get into. But I ain't trading him for Nikola Vucevic. That's my thing with this.
Okay, so, I'm on the no trade Anfernee Simons until at least the trade deadline wave, right? I want to see him play in the Boston Celtics jersey because I believe in Joe Mazzulla's system with his three-point ability, with his playmaking ability, without a Jason Tatum, with a JB who, you see it here on the side. I don't know if you can see the side panel, but he's jumping off walls, so he looks healthy enough to play basketball. But, with the uncertainty that they have going on here, I want somebody who's going to come in. I know he shoots 8 threes a game, and 40% of those things are going in. You know what I'm saying? So I like that consistency with him. But this one did perk up my ears a little bit. Now, the reason that it might perk up my ears, I have to admit, growing up, I was a University of Southern California fan. So I did watch Vucevic during his amateurism days and watched him go up and play with the Orlando Magic, and I was like, man, this dude's pretty good. And then I watched him go to the Bulls, and I was like, man, this dude is pretty trash. And then I watched more last year, and I said, wait, actually, is it him or was it the guys around him? I think him in Celtics culture, being a guy who got his three-point percentage back up to 40% last year, being an 18-10 guy in the league, consistently year over year, knowing that we're losing to Al Horford, knowing that we're losing to KP, knowing that we're asking of guys like Kata, can you step out? Can we get guys like Luka Garza to come in and get minutes? This is a known commodity. And you know what helped the Celtics win that championship in 2024? Having those bigs. Al Horford was pivotal, and he's not going to be here. We got an Al Horford replacement. Now, that's not me saying that I'm in, George. It's just saying that I'm entertaining the conversation with the Bulls if this is how they started.
I get it. Now, it would also save them $6 million on their payroll. Yes. So we know in the world of the second apron how important that is, of course. And then also what they would save on taxes as well. So obviously there's a huge discrepancy in age, skills, two completely different players in every single facet, including how much you're making, where the Celtics would save money. Vucevic makes sense in a different time. If Jason Tatum was healthy, now, again, the roster would look vastly different. There wouldn't be an Anfernee Simons here, perhaps. Maybe they'd move around the money differently with him counting much more against the second apron. If Tatum and Brown were here and that adds front court depth and a guy that can be an efficient shooter, and to your point, Tay, It's about the guys around him. Like, he is a player that needs a good supporting cast, and that's fine. He's had a very long, very successful NBA career, and he's made a lot of money. Awesome.
Yeah.
He can be that fourth option on a team that would have Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum on the floor with him as well. And he could thrive in that role. Now, he doesn't bring much defensively. He's not much of a rim protector despite his size. But this is a guy that could work out. But with the timeline that the Celtics are on, if this was an addition that had become a luxury and a good depth piece, to your point on what led them to have success in 2024 with the double bigs and all the winning they got and obviously getting the ring, good, awesome, cool, I would do it. But right now in a rebuild, I'm holding on to Anfernee Simons because I think you could get a better return on a younger player, even though he's a pending free agent, or you like what you see with him, and they end up extending him. And Joe Mazzulla loves him, and he could be a core guy to have around Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum for the next 2 to 3 years before either Simons goes or one of those guys may get dealt or leave in free agency. That's the way I look at it. The Vucevic fit makes sense in a basketball sense, but this season's all about business for the Celtics, and the business of adding Nikola Vucevic for an Anfernee Simons, and you lose a Simons, I just can't get around that.
Look, you brought up one thing. First of all, don't say rebuild. They don't like that word around here, George.
I don't care what they like. They're rebuild. I don't care. I don't care. Who are they? They don't like rebuild. You're rebuilding. You're rebuilding.
Retool.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And then second of all, look, I think the biggest part of the whole entire thing that you brought up is that money, dude, the $6 million, you know what I mean? And when we're talking about second aprons and first aprons and all this other stuff, finally, we're under that second apron. Still working towards getting under the first apron and maybe possibly getting under the luxury tax as a whole. You know what I'm saying? I think this could be an opportunity for them to do that and go get a vet. Because here's the thing. If JB's already jumping off walls, JT's already walking upstairs and showing up to Duke and traveling and doing all these, he's working out. He's looking good from everything that I've seen. What's to say in 26, 27, this team couldn't be ready to win a championship? If you could lock up Vooch, because once again, both of these dudes would be a one-year rental. You know what I'm saying? They're at the end of their terms with Simons and Vucevic. But if you could lock up Vooch and say, hey, man, we're going to give you an opportunity to do something you've never done before, because Orlando was trash, Chicago was trash. We're going to put you along two superstars that we actually know work together, and we've seen it. We'll give you the blueprint. You're doing the Al Horford role. Go out there, get rebounds, stick the shot, play some defense like you've never played before, and we're going to help you go and win a championship. I mean, we know that he is a valuable all-star level player in this league. With Anfernee Simons, we're hoping that he gets there, right? And we're hoping that value turns out into either him staying and making sense with this team or moving on for higher value for players that we do know that work. If you could get a Vucevic and other things, because I'm not, I don't want just a 35-year-old or 34-year-old on his own, maybe some picks. The Bulls, they're not a great franchise. We can fleece some things out of them for sure. You know what I'm saying? So Vucevic and some picks, maybe we can get something done. Then they can have their guy. They move on from Josh Giddey. They say, hey, Josh, whatever, we don't need you. We got this kid. They go and win 20 games like we know the Bulls are going to do, and we move on.
Vucevic at that age, though, that's the thing with where Simons at, how young he is. So I get it where you can get him, and we can see Tatum return. And you know it. I know I don't have to explain it to you, and I understand the point you're making on where Tatum's back on his recovery. Walking upstairs, traveling, a lot different than defending end-to-end on an NBA court, and we can see how quick he gets back. This is not the addition I need. I think there's just too much risk and it's the ceiling and the floor are not worth trading away in Anfernee Simons. I think there could get better return. I think they need more depth. And I think especially the defensive fit wouldn't make sense as well. And think about the coach in all this, because we have not brought up Joe Mazzulla yet. I think Joe Mazzulla, if you give him the two options and he knows everything that goes into it, they'll give him the full presentation, PowerPoint, whatever it may be. He'll go, in my system, give me Anfernee Simons. And that's what I think it would boil down to, what makes sense for the fit. And I think an Anfernee Simons would help out a Jason Tatum coming off the Achilles a lot more because of what he could do on the perimeter, how he could be a ball handler. Now, defender doesn't bring a plus, but neither does Vucevic in this whole thing. So that's where I go on. I think for the return, and even if Tatum's back, the Anfernee Simons to me is just a better fit all around. Now, the business aspect would be saving the $6 million. But there still is that business of whether they want to be a competitive team or not, down the line, like what the return can be. Again, I just think there could be such a better return at a better price too than Vucevic at saving $6 million.
Okay, play devil's advocate with me. We'll start off with Simons, all right? With Simons, he ends up having a, similar year to the years that he's had in Portland over the last couple of years. He stays, he gets a contract with the Celtics, right? What's the ceiling of that team?
With Anfernee Simons?
Yeah.
And he stays with the Celtics and they go a year from now, so Jason Tatum returns.
Yeah.
The ceiling, I mean, if it's Tatum and Brown and with an Anfernee Simons, the ceiling of the team is still a finals contender. So I would go Eastern Conference Finals, let's say. I think Eastern Conference Finals is the ceiling.
All right, now here's the next question. Vucevic, same thing. He gets traded here for Simons. We'll forget the picks, whatever. Who cares, right? We won't add any of that in. He gets traded here for Simons. Celtics love him. Give him a deal. Give him an extension, whatever. He's here for Tatum. What do you think of the ceiling of that team?
Simons to me is a better third, fourth option, again, depending on who's on the floor. It's still a playoff team. And I would go Eastern Conference Finals, but that's because of the Jays. But long term, like you would have a longer tapping into your potential because Anfernee Simons at 26, 27 years old. Now he'll cost more when that extension comes compared to a Vucevic, who he's on the last of his 3-year, $60 million deal with the Bulls. Like, man, great money.
Yeah.
Great. Like go pro in anything. People talk about playing quarterback or swinging a bat. No. Just go pro in basketball because end of the bench guys getting $11 million a year. It's the best thing in the world. But as he comes on the end of that, how many years he may have left, it would be a cheaper extension on the back end. But you have a longer window with Anfernee Simons. What do you think on both scenarios?
I mean, you never know. With either guy, it could be a prove-it deal. You know what I mean? They could get the year with the Celtics this year, and then after that, Simons could say, all right, the market's not exactly where I want it to be or whatever. People aren't flocking to me the exact way that I want to get to, and he might do a Dennis Schroeder and say, I'm going to take a 1-year deal with the Celtics again to prove that, I can play with JT, I can play with JB, I can play with two superstars and get it done, and then see from there. I think the ceiling, I love Anfernee Simons. I think the ceiling for sure, with those three, and then obviously a Derek White and a Peyton Pritchard and whatever, I can so on and so forth. And even the marriage between Joe Mazzulla and Keita. If you kept Simons here, I think, he's been paying close attention to what Keita's been doing in Eurobasket. I think that matters as well. I think that's a finals team, especially, in this Eastern Conference where the map and the layout, I don't trust. We'll talk about the Knicks further down when we get to their preview, but, I'm not trusting, the first year of a Mike Brown or the second year of a Mike Brown going in there. The Knicks, they just have bad culture. So I never trust them to go and win one. They haven't shown us anything to go and win one, whatever. The Pacers are the team that does scare me, but I think the talent, when you have a healthy JB and the JT, we've seen it before, they can get over the hump and beat a team like that, even without a KP and things of that nature. So I think that's a finals level team just because of the East. I don't know if that team wins one, you know what I mean? It would depend on who gets there from the West, but I think that team definitely can get to the finals and take whoever in the West to 5, 6, maybe even 7 games, maybe even win it. So, I think that's the ceiling of that team. If you got Vucevic, I hate to say it, but, I think with Tatum, Brown, Vooch, Derek White, that's a team. That's for sure a finals team in the West. I think the floor is Eastern Conference Finals for that team. I think the floor.
It's a good team, but it's also once Tatum returns, how long do you want that window to stay? And I think Anfernee Simons gives you that longer window. And it's the Jays and Derek White doing a lot of the lifting. Whoever that fourth player is that's on that floor in that core. And to me, also the bigger need is like an actual 5 you can trust and be playing starting minutes, clutch minutes in an Eastern Conference Finals or NBA Finals, where Vucevic doesn't bring that upside and doesn't quell your needs on the front court either. Great offensive piece, very efficient shooter, and could be a good player around these guys. But it's the same thing on that void they have. And we talked about it last episode. They're going to find another Nemish Keita. They're going to find another, athletic big, rim runner, weak side rim protector as well that can help out on double teams around in the paint and around the rim. But I just don't think Vucevic brings that defensive upside nor the shooting upside that this would make a sense of a move in the Celtics. Other teams out there, sure. But again, for the Celtics move with what Joe Mazzulla wants to run and the needs for this team too. I just think Simons, and with all of this, Tay, too, like we could be all optimistic. We could see Jason Tatum's recovery and his timeline. We don't know when he'll have his legs back under him. And they may need more offense, and that would be Anfernee Simons and Comporter Vucevic until Tatum's fully back, which could be his second full season back in basketball 3 seasons from now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you my official thoughts on this trade. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I just have to,
good job
talk it
playing
out with
devil's
you.
advocate.
Yeah, I needed to talk it out with you just because I do like Vucevic's contributions. Like, I do think he could be a positive add to this team, but I do like Simons more. And I think the youth and his ability to shoot the ball from the perimeter and make plays for his teammates and all this other stuff. And, people talk about the defensive prowess and all these other things. It's different when you go into a situation, you learn from 2 guards who are not defensive guards, right? And you're in a situation where you don't win. That's a hard place to be a guard in the NBA, and it's a difficult position to guard at. Point guard is the deepest position in the league. It's the hardest position to guard. There's a lot of things that you can learn from being in Boston. Learn from a guy like Sam Cassell, who can teach your young players, like, hey, man, this is how you're guarding. You know what I mean? And challenge you every day to do it. Not that Chauncey Billups can't, but it's just different when you got to win here. The slogan is what? It's just different. It's different. It's different here. You know what I'm saying? It is. It's different here, dog. And so I think having Simons here is going to be a more positive addition than having Vucevic. So I agree.
And that's what it is, where we could see, like, long-term from now, Simons, we know he's on the expiring deal. We know he could be a piece come the trade deadline in February and all of that. Or he could be a long-term piece. He's only 26. That's really young. He could be a guy that's here for the next 5-6 years and a key piece in a trade as they want to build back. I'm not saying rebuild. Build back. I'm going to say rebuild. As they rebuild back to becoming a consistent contender. Like, that's what he can be, where Vucevic is, maybe you get 2 good seasons out of him. Where Simons, I think you and I are both really confident, he'll get 5 good seasons out of him. And that matters as they move forward as well. They're going to have to get a hard reset on this roster. They're going to have to make plenty more difficult decisions. But Simons can be that piece. And also because of all the other moving parts, like, Sam Hauser's still out there. And to me, he is more of a piece that makes sense to trade away because of the contract, because of the value he could have for other teams. And I would have an Anfernee Simons over Sam Hauser on the roster compared to you have Sam Hauser and Vucevic. I'd rather have Anfernee Simons and Vucevic in that world, but I don't know if that would be an apples for apples move. You know what I mean?
All good with me. I just need Baylor Shireman to start knocking down some shots if we're going to trade away Sam Hauser. That's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Let's hope that early summer league success starts translating, because I think he needs that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's take a break here on Hold My Banner. When we're back, Isaiah Thomas back to the Celtics. We're talking about all these ads and a rebuild year, so why not? Could Isaiah Thomas be reunited wearing the green? We'll talk about that and more coming up on Hold My Banner. Welcome back to Hold My Banner. As you guys see, from green runs deep. Former Celtic Isaiah Thomas with Jason Tatum in the photo. This was Bradley Beal's wedding. And on the rest of the tweet, it's a shame we never got to see them play together. Obviously, Isaiah Thomas with 2 electric seasons in Boston, 2016 and 2017, before being traded to the Cavaliers. And a routine and a lot of moves that went down after that point. Obviously, we know where the Celtics are at. Isaiah Thomas, now 36 years old. We know all the lower body issues he's had, including the hips, since he was dealt by the Celtics. And we have not seen him play more than 42 games in a season since he was dealt as well. That, to me, is the biggest red flag there. But in a year of a rebuild, and coming off the season where he made a few appearances in the NBA, not a lot, I think 6 or 7 games played, would you entertain, let's start with the entertainment. Would you entertain Isaiah Thomas possibly signing with the Celtics? And what he's been now at this point in his career, it would be like a 2-way deal. He'd be playing up in Maine or playing in Boston.
Maine? He needs to be in TD Garden. I need to sell tickets. If I'm Bill Chisholm, what can I do this year to keep people excited for the Boston Celtics? Let's bring back a crowd favorite, dog. IT for 5 more years. No, I'm just playing. But I would love to see Isaiah Thomas here in Boston. It would be fun. Look, in a year where we're having to talk about, oh, Tatum, oh, this, oh, that, it would calm everybody's nerves. Hey, we're not going to be good. We're bringing back a crowd favorite. He's going to go out there every once in a while. He's going to play like maybe 5 minutes a game. But in the games that he gets to 10 minutes or the games that he gets to 15 minutes, in those games, that historic game that you know is going to happen at some point where he drops 25 on 11 of 12 shooting and the Garden is rocking and going crazy and it looks like vintage IT, I just want that energy. I just want to feel that passion in TD Garden again, George. And that's why I personally want to see. We got a guy. Look, all these guys are NBA players. There's a lot of good players on this roster.
You want a mascot. You just don't want a guy dressed like a leprechaun. You want a guy dressed like Isaiah Thomas, who is Isaiah Thomas. The disrespect to Isaiah Thomas.
Exactly. No, it's not even just. It's not even just it's not to disrespect IT. I love IT, but look. When they did that trade for Kyrie and it brought that bad energy and bad aura in the TD Garden, you have to be able to cleanse that a little bit. And they went and won. They won. But we're looking at a year without JT. No Achilles tear. I'm going to be sad watching the Boston Celtics every single game because I'm going to see JB out there without his partner in crime. But guess what? I could have IT there to mask all of that and having fun and also teaching these other guys about humility and learning how to play on a team, learning what it takes to play with superstars, learning how sometimes it doesn't go well. You might think like I'm Peyton Pritchard, I'm starting and, I'm playing with JB all the time now, and it may have moments where it doesn't go well. It didn't go well for IT when he went over there and played with LeBron. You know what I'm saying? It didn't go well there. It didn't go well from then on. If you can have a guy in there who knows the highs of the highs, I mean, almost an MVP in this league, to the lowest of the lows, playing on 10 days, playing in the G League like you suggested, he can tell you every NBA experience and get those young guys ready to play in any moment. Because when he was on those 10 days and he got his 2 minutes, man, he was making the most of it. So he can teach these young guys how to do the same.
So you're going off straight vibes. Like, just bring him back as a coach. Why does he have to be a player? You're going to take up a roster spot in a rebuild year when you could get guys like Hugo Gonzalez, where those minutes that Isaiah Thomas would take up much more valuable. Jordan Walsh, Nimish Queta. I get the turnaround of, like, how bad the Kyrie trade turned out. But, like, so we're going to bring on a guy for karma, like the reverse karma of it all. Like, hey, man, everything's going bad. Tatum's torn Achilles. Let's get into the karma business instead of basketball. Like, this is a serious franchise.
I'm trying to put butts in seats.
And you will
in seats.
Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. You'll get that.
You're right. I'm a huge fan of those dudes. I think they can get some things done, for sure.
If the only way someone shows up at TD Garden is because Isaiah Thomas is on the team, then I don't want those people in TD Garden. Because what, are they going to only cheer when he gets in the game? They're going to be watching him on the bench? I get this flow, and I understand we never got to see him together. But, like, what karma do they need when they won a ring? And it took a while. It wasn't pretty after the Isaiah Thomas trade. But bringing in Kyrie, all the bad juju, all the way to the end of him returning and spreading sage around the building. But him going AWOL on the team, just never living up to what he was as a billing of a player, not even the superstar or the contract or anything. The billing of being a guy that should show up for the team. That thrusted Jaylen Brown into a bigger role. That thrusted Jason Tatum into a bigger role. Those guys in the team was ahead of schedule, and they had to play much more significant roles and minutes than they would have in a normal capacity and normal timeline because Kyrie Irving did not want to be a basketball player when he was in Boston. That, to me, and the payoff we saw when it came to getting that 18th banner, that's the reverse karma. Not to bring in Isaiah Thomas. Yeah, it would be cool to see those two play in a little pick and roll, pick and pop action, but you know what? I don't want any of that this season. I want to see development of a young guys that can be contributors.
Okay. Fair, fine, fair. Player development? Can I get them in there? Can I get them in player development?
Yeah, as a coach, I love that. 100%.
Okay.
Why? Well, he could be like Sam Cassell's right-hand guy, or he could be like the God Sham God, what he was with the Mavericks. And for Kyrie, ironically, he could be that guy for the younger guards on this team, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Max Lederman for bringing this whole entire conversation up. Here's the thing, George. I think people are disrespecting the ability to play basketball that IT can bring as well. Like, I think you're thinking, oh, IT can't do this, he can't do that. IT can play. He can hoop. He can put the ball in the hole. This team is going to struggle to do that some nights. We know that for sure. Like, they're going to struggle to do that. But you know what he doesn't struggle to do? Score baskets. There's going to be nights where they will need a guy like this to come in and, yes, development and all this other stuff. But the way I hear Brad talking, he's talking winning. And you know what also develops people? I can tell you this. I had players, coaches, all different types of guys. When I had to sit and watch, when I was a freshman in college and I had to understand the game, man, I kid you not, I learned so much from my vets who were on the team at the time. And it made me better every day. Practicing with those dudes, playing with those dudes, watching them play, watching them, seeing in game against other NBA talent. How do I get to my spots? How do I attack this? How do I throw this pass? Because IT, that's what he is. He's lightning in a bottle. Every single team, we've seen him put on 57 different jerseys at this point. And every single jersey that he's been in, he's come in and get a basket. You talked about the G League numbers too. The G League numbers are crazy. He gets in the G League and drops 50. It's disrespectful to have him not in the league. I understand that he's been out and hasn't played a full season and all this other stuff. You brought up those metrics before. But, man, if you can go in and see, I can sit every day and say, man, in the 10 minutes this dude gets in, he makes the most of it, and he's a problem. And teams have to understand how to guard him. Yeah, is he struggling on defense because he's 5'5"? 100%. But he's getting that basket. He can teach you how to score, and you can learn a lot from watching it. So I understand Hugo, blah, 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 but if we're trying to win, I don't have time for rooks to make mistakes, right? I don't got time for JB to get frustrated with Hugo Gonzalez throwing a hook pass out of bounds. I don't have time for that. I need to see production. And when there's those lowly moments, which they had in 24, they had in 25 as well. When there's lowly moments and you say, oh, I can go put a spark plug in, because right now when I look at this roster in front of me, I don't see a lot of spark plugs, known spark plugs. I know what IT can do. That's why I say, why not? Why not? You know it's going to be a cheap deal. We're getting vet men, for sure.
Because the rest of the league sees what he's doing in the G League, and they know what he's capable of, and no one's making this move. So for the Celtics, I like that point that he can literally show by example in 5-10 minutes the impact of a guy on the back end of the bench can make. Great. But it's also, he's only playing 7, 10, 15 games total in a season for a reason. His body not able to hold up. Now, and I think that's a tough part too. Again, of that guy then getting minutes over the younger dudes, and they're questioning, like, what's going on here? Now, in a pinch of, like, you got injuries, you need help in that role, then Isaiah Thomas is out there 100%. Go bring him in. If you need him for, like, a 5-game, 10-game stretch because you're banged up when it comes to your backcourt. But a long-term play, you're bringing him in. As we were talking about Vucevic and Anfernee Simons and who to keep and who to trade and all of that, because of what brings a ceiling for this team, it's just, at that age, I'm not going to bring in that guy.
Can I get a UD role? Play. I can't get Udonis Haslem. Like, I can't get that. Like,
the mascot,
you know what I mean?
The mascot role.
Can I get Kevin Love? Like, well, you know, I'm talking about these Heat players because they keep doing this, and you know, whatever. But can I get that?
Kevin Love
like,
now doing it,
But I'm saying, like, I can't get that. I can't get a player who we ain't playing. Like, you're not playing, bro. We're giving you a glorified coach spot. But look, when you do play, go in and do what we need you to do.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that because of the understanding that when Udonis Haslem's on the bench, everyone knows he's not playing. Now, when Isaiah Thomas is signed, there will be the conversations. What will be his spot in the rotation? And to my point, I will say his spot is nowhere in the rotation. But in that pinch, random 5 games throughout the year, then that's fine. I'll give you that. I'll give you that mascot role.
Okay, and Mazzulla can handle the questions. We know he can handle the questions. He's the guy. Yeah, he's like Belichick out here. He's going to handle the media in his own way. So I ain't worried about is IT going to play questions. Will you and I be talking about it? Yes. Will we be fueling those conversations? 100%. But, I mean, I just need to see it. You know what I mean? I just need to see it, dog. Why not?
I just want the return of Isaiah Thomas on the NBA team so we can get more moments of fans chirping him because they want that free Wendy's, you know?
Yeah, the all-time moment, dude.
Was that when he was in Washington? He just went up to the guy, like, man, what are you saying? He's like, dude, I'm sorry. I just want free Wendy's. If you miss both free throws, everyone here gets free Wendy's. He was like, oh, okay. Makes sense.
He
The
was
world,
like
the
dang
world
near
we live in.
crying. He was almost in tears. He was so mad about the way that dude got mad over nuggets. Like, and I feel him. That was disrespectful. You know what I mean? For some nuggets, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, you better chance asking them for $5. Like, come on.
Wendy's does have the best chicken nuggets out of all the fast food establishments, though. Am I wrong?
100%. Spicy nugs are crazy with the barbecue sauce. That goes nuts.
Five piece.
100%.
What are they now? Like it was 99 cents growing up. Now they're like $1.20.
Who
They're
knows,
probably
dude?
like
I haven't
they're
been to
probably like
Wendy's in like 2
$2.19.
years, probably. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Drop off on fast food's been real for me too. All right, I'm gonna get some Wendy's after this show though, and I'll let you know the price of the nugs, spicy
right,
and regular. I
sounds
can't do
good.
spice, so I always do the regular. But I'll get with the honey mustard. It's all good.
Yeah,
all right,
okay.
we'll take a break here. I'll hold my banner. I'll go get the chicken nuggets, and when we're back, we'll be talking the Oklahoma City Thunder. Another good preview. Love this preview. We'll be talking about this team. Do they repeat? Do they three-peat? What is just beginning in OKC? Ountae Campbell and I will break that down after this break on Hold My Banner. Welcome back to Hold My Banner. You guys see there on your screen, nothing but gratitude and appreciation for his Aggie family. This will pay off in trivia one day. Where did Alex Caruso play college basketball? Texas A&M. The Larry O'B Trophy on that football field. Not something a lot of people would ever expect to see. He's Ountae Campbell.
No.
I'm George Balekji. Wait, Tay, real quick. Celtics legend. I'm not going to say Celtics great, but he's a legend amongst the fans and in the lore of Celtics that played at Texas A&M. Recently was on the team within the last 5 years. Who is that player? Texas A&M, Celtics.
Robert Williams.
My man, Time Lord. There we go. That's 2 trivia questions in one. All right, let's get into the OKC preview, my man. Alex Caruso raising that Larry O'Brien trophy. Oklahoma City bringing back their entire core, extended Chet. They extended Jalen Williams, SGA on the super max. What do you think of this team? And the conversation has to start. Are they once again the best team in the West? And do you like them to repeat as NBA champions?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you have to come out and say they're the best team in the West. I think we did a season preview of the whole entire NBA coming into the season last year, and I was like, man, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team in the West. And they did it every single night and proved it. There was the time last year where Hardenstein was hurt, Chet was hurt, Jalen Williams, number 8, was out there running center for them for months at 6'5", 6'6". You know what I'm saying? And they were still running, rolling, winning, being the best team in the best conference in the league, and it just didn't stop for them. So coming into this year, I understand what Houston did. I understand what Denver did. But if healthy, you have to give them the credit for what they've done. They've built through the draft, through trades, did everything that they needed to do, added a couple of key free agents like Caruso, like Isaiah Hardenstein, and now, not even Caruso because they traded for him, but Hardenstein was a key free agent that they added, and they won an NBA championship. You have to give them the credit, and I have to say they're the best team coming into the NBA this year, again.
And that's with Caruso still under contract next 3 seasons following. Major depth piece, but in Aaron Wiggins, still under contract. Isaiah Joe, still under contract, another draft pick. It's all of these guys, and then it's getting J-Dub into that extension, because I know the other one's my guy, Jay Will. Now, we saw them offload a few pieces and guys go away, but in reality, it's that, like the fact that SGA, you mentioned Hartenstein, Lou Dort, still under contract, extension eligible this season to, again, another key depth piece they have as well, and he's not going anywhere until 2027, so we'd assume. With Caruso, Chet, Isaiah Joe, Jay Will, J-Dub, like all those guys still there, where Jalen Williams, not the Jalen Williams that got extended. I'm going to keep trying to go between the J-Dub and the J.
Right. Yeah, I know.
The not as good Jalen Williams, because both Jalen Williams are good players in my opinion. You go back 2 seasons and you watch the Thunder on a random weeknight, and at all points, they have 5 ball handlers on the floor. And then not as good Jalen Williams can be one of those guys. And a scoring piece. He wasn't playing in the playoffs. They didn't need to play him. That's how good they were with the depth pieces, how much better they got on the back end of the bench. And it's amazing because this was also a team that we see them put together. I love that it's being run back because it was 6 years in the making. Because in 2019, when Paul George was traded to the Clippers, SGA, with his name mispronounced in all the breaking news on that, It's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It was like Shai Gilgeous Alexander's how they said it. It took 6 years to get to this point. And man, like they're still the best team in the NBA. They're the best roster. They ran through the entire league. I like them to repeat as NBA champions, but we just saw in Boston, it's hard to win. It's really hard to win back to back. All those deep playoff runs, they start stacking up, Ted.
Yeah, they do. And, you know, that brings me to my biggest area of concern with this team is Chet Holmgren. Is he going to stay healthy? We saw him miss his rookie year due to a foot injury, you know what I mean? Then last year, we thought we were going to lose him for the entire season. Couple games in, you know what I mean, to the season he got hurt and missed an extended period of time, didn't come back into late into the season again last year and got ready for the playoff push, and he was a huge part. But is he going to stay healthy? And is he going to stay healthy long enough to continue developing? Because last year was a little bit of a step back for him. Like the stats were all pretty much the exact same from his quote-unquote rookie year, which was really year 2, was all the same. So can he be the guy that takes another leap and really solidifies? Because, yeah, the path only gets harder. The Denver Nuggets aren't going to be beating themselves up this year. The Houston Rockets finally went and got scoring, which they needed to do. The Timberwolves also have continuity and are bringing back a team that they are comfortable with, besides losing a few pieces, which we talked about last episode. Those 3 teams right there were knocking on the door for NBA championship contenders. Obviously, with the Rockets getting bounced in the first round, but being the 2 seed coming into the playoffs last year. So if you're going to be able to take the next step, what more can SGA do? He was league MVP. I'm not asking for more. What more can Jalen Williams do, number 8? He was all-NBA dude and first-team all-defense dude. He was an NBA all-star. How much more can you ask from him? The guy that needs to step up in this situation so that they are solidified and they know that they are definitely the best team in the NBA is Chet Holmgren. He has to show up. He has to.
And this is a team, man. Like, when you look at Jalen Williams, 24, SGA, 27, Hartenstein, 27, they're all so young. Alex Caruso is the old head at 31 years old. And that's crazy. So young in basketball years. Like, that's insane. And that's a guy that's been a leader. And now we are going to see this, like, championship experience. They know what it takes, the work and everything, like, pour in, and the confidence only go through the roof as well. But to your point with Chet, and that's been the question. And yes, it is. It's literally an optics thing, literally how he looks, how he's built. When you are that big, you're going to play around the rim. Now, he can shoot, he can play on the perimeter, but you're going to be a rim protector. And eventually, and he has the skills and the moves of a big, guys are going to go right into your chest. And that is a dude that is thin and is frail. He has to be able to put up with the test of an NBA season. Like you said, we did see it last year. I don't know, coming off a finals run, if he's capable of that, if his body is capable to maintain that. It is a physical sport, no matter what other people want to say. And especially to go through the West as well, how tough that entire conference is. And the series and the matchups you'll see. It could be a Jokic. It could be a Naz Reid and a Rudy Gobert in Minnesota as well. Like, all these bigs. And with Houston, good in the front court with the Sengun, but also great on the perimeter as well. Again, guys that will be coming at his neck. That's going to be really hard to see from Chet. And like, what can he do? He has to take the recovery series. He obviously has to take the offseason and the prep series. But what more can he do when he's built the way he's built and he plays in the front court in a physical position?
Yeah, and I mean, you bring up a good point. I think you brought up Jalen Williams from Arkansas earlier, and that's where he steps in, too, in part of this, because you talked about his impact in the playoffs. Yeah, as we continue to go out throughout the playoffs, it was a little more scarce. But during that, you know, I think it was Western Conference Finals, right, when they played Denver, he was locked down. Locked in on Jokic. He was almost like a Jokic stopper at his size, like 6'8" guy coming in, doing those things and making Jokic uncomfortable, which was surprising from a guy like him, but he comes in and he brings energy. He has to be able to take the next step and be a better offensive player for that team in order for him to get more minutes. But those 2 dudes are going to be the key to a repeat bid for this team, which is crazy to say because they have a league MVP and they have all NBA and all first team, all defense, whatever guys on their team, and Lou Dort as well, who we've barely talked about. They do have all these other guys, but, you know, asking for Alex Caruso to show up in the ways that he did for this team in Game 7 of the NBA Finals is just not going to be realistic. the closing situation with this team is also worrying to me. They had issues closing out games, closing out series throughout the NBA Finals run. They have to be able to do that because this year, without the dysfunction that happened in Denver last year, with their refocus and their maintaining their laser focus on the goal, that's going to be hard to stop with Jokic. You know how he is in the clutch. The Lakers definitely know how he is in the clutch. Then you got Kevin Wayne Durant closing out games for that Houston Rockets team. That could be a scary situation for them as well. So if they don't do the things to take care of business, because the Indiana Pacers kind of handed them the fourth quarter of that game, especially when Tyrese Halliburton went down, if you're not going to close out games the way you're supposed to, you can find out really quick in this Western Conference how teams have you circled on their calendars and they're ready to mark you up and win a championship themselves.
We got a skinny Luka lurking out there in LA too. Like, it really is how deep this West team is. You bring up the Rockets and you bring up the Nuggets. They made the biggest leaps this offseason, in my opinion. Who do you think is the biggest threat for them in the West?
Jokic.
And Minnesota's out there too and running a lot of guys back.
I love Minnesota, but Jokic, man, Jokic.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because he got Cam Johnson out there, giving the coach another year to figure it out. He looked like he did a lot of great things with that team. Hopefully they figure out how to keep their team healthy because they have issues with Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray staying healthy. But if they can keep that team healthy and together, I mean, that team, we thought they were going to be the team to win the champion or compete with the Celtics in the championship in 24, right? And now they're back. I feel like they're back. So the Denver Nuggets are the team to watch. I mean, you also have to worry about Steph. I think Steph, when he goes out there and plays against OKC, and him and Jimmy Butler and their clutchness factor, that could be something that can rattle a young team. Yes, they've won, but so have those dudes too. So having those guys and just the chippiness factor and the competitive nature with a team that's now also has some continuity, knowing how to play with each other, play for, second half of the season together, man, the Warriors and the Nuggets, just for the Thunder, could be the scariest matchups come playoff time.
Yeah, and even think of a Rockets team that can match up on the perimeter defensively. They just did not have anyone that can close, and now they have a closer in Kevin Durant. Where can you make it a series with the Thunder? Can I confidently say I think the Rockets beat the Thunder in 7? No, but if you take any team to 7 and you got Kevin, as you say, Wayne Durant on your side, then man, that is a coin flip of a game that it can be, especially if Houston was to get that one at home. But then that would be the whole difference of seeding and all of that. But it comes down to how improved this Denver team is against Nikola Jokic, who's the best player in the league, and what he can do. And it's getting guys back like Bruce Brown, but he doesn't have to be in what his role was when they won the whole thing. Now it's a Christian Braun into the fold that got better, Christian Braun. Now it's Bruce Brown back with the team, and then that's that added depth. A 3-and-D guy, really good defender, good ball handler, and a skilled veteran. Everything to me comes back to this Nuggets team, but the T-Wolves are really deep. The Rockets are really deep and really good defensively and have a closer. But it's this Nuggets team with Nikola Jokic. And it's also, let's see what we see from the Spurs if Wemby is fully available come this season.
Yeah, the Spurs, like we said, the
Warriors,
the Timberwolves, like the Lakers. There's a lot of teams that can, if you take them lightly and don't handle your business, which sometimes the Thunder were indicative of that during the playoffs last year. If you're not handling your business, you let a team take a win that they're not supposed to get, you could end up getting, beat by a team that you shouldn't. So we'll see what happens with that.
That's a one thing on if they mess around, play with their food. And it's just the Lakers team does lurk out there. And again, also, too, I mean, the Clippers, how they ended up coming short in the playoff series and blowing their lead, but
right.
I don't.
Them too, dude. We could do the whole West. Like, I mean, you got to be nervous about anybody that you play against because there's a lot of veterans out there. There's a lot of guys who feel slighted, who are trying to win championships, who've never done it before, are trying to do it before their primes are ending. Like, there's a lot of guys who are hungry out there in the West, and they're gonna look at this young team that just won one, feeling good about themselves, pumping their chests up, doing their little parade, and say, "Hey, man, great job last year, but this ain't last year. Figure it out."
We'll see if Kawhi's on the Clippers when they tip off this season, too. That's a big thing lurking out there in the West. We'll take another break here on Hold My Banner. When we're back, our last part of the show. We'll come back down to earth, previewing the Washington Wizards. Where they at in this rebuild, Ante and I will get into that after this break on Hold My Banner. Welcome back to Hold My Banner. Washington Wizards preview time. I know everything all you guys have been waiting for. And see the Wizards tweeting this out. The Rooks balled out in the sticks last night. NBA 2K26 launch party in the district. Yeah. Now let's see the Rooks actually ball out on the court. Let's see this team actually ball out on the court. They haven't won more than 40 games since 2018. Like, where's this rebuild at on this team that's just been downright terrible the last 7 years?
Look, the rebuild, I don't know where exactly it's at. Look, first of all, I need to say, George, I'm excited because we made it through the West. Clap it up for us. We made it through the Western Conference. We're starting out to the East. That means we're only getting closer to the season. You know what I mean? But with the Washington Wizards, this rebuild, man, I can say this. Thank the Lord they got rid of Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole. Those dudes were not culture setters. Can they find their culture setters? Is it going to be a Bilal Coulibaly? Is it going to be a Alex Sarr? Is it going to be this new kid, Trey Johnson? Who knows? Who's going to be the culture setter for this team? I can tell you this thing, though. They got a former, was he president of the Players Association in C.J. McCollum, which is fitting because he's out there in D.C. now. A guy who is the ultimate pro, the consummate pro, and Chris Middleton. That's a great start. They can teach those young guys over there what it takes to win and be a professional in this league because they've always been the guys that have been professional. You never hearing anything about them off the court. They come in and get their business done. They give energy and effort. They might not be the best of the best at this or that category, but they play to the best of their abilities, that their God-given abilities, right? They use all of their tools and they up them to the levels of eliteness, elite shooting, elite playmaking, elite mid-range, you know what I mean? Whatever you need, they can do those things. These guys can teach all of these because they have talent. The Wizards, like, when we talking about rebuild, you look at this team and it's like we talked about the Portland Trailblazers in the West, and I kind of look at the Wizards in the same vein in the East, and you say, oh wow, like the Washington Wizards got some guys here. I mean, you got a Bub Carrington, you got a Bilal, you got a Keyshawn George, you got an Alex Sarr, you got a Trey Johnson, even Corey Kispert comes in as an energy guy, makes shots, 3-and-D, does his thing. Champagne, he does his thing. So you look at this team, and even A.J. Johnson, who came onto the scene last year when the Wizards were trash and had Milwaukee Bucks saying, why did we get rid of this guy? They have talent in the building, but talent is only enough in the NBA. Every team has talent. Can you get a team that is functional? Can you get guys to buy into what you're doing? Can you get guys to play together? This team could be a team. Now, it's the Washington Wizards, and they have a lot of bad culture and a lot of things over there. But 4, 5, 6 years from now, we could be looking at them like the Thunder, and I could be coming to you before the season and saying, man, this is the best team in the East.
This is the year. Like, remember when you were talking about them in 2025? That would be a 12-plus year rebuild at that point. But it is foundation. Where Middleton and McCollum, this is the last year of their contracts. And the point of culture setting, how that's important. And then it's guys like you name all this talent. Cam Whitmore, that's a dude that came in with injury question marks. And what is long-term? But he is such a gifted, talented, just like all-around player too. And that can be the depth piece. And then you look at this team, as you were talking how young the Thunder are, to your point, where their main pieces, Sarr, Coulibaly, both really raw, especially Coulibaly when he was coming out of France, really raw when they were drafted, but they're 20, 21 years old. Like the oldest guy on this team where I see them in the long term is an A.J. Johnson, who's 21, is a Cam Whitmore, who's 21. That's what's insane about this team. It's just how many more drafts. And then eventually you'd have to think the free agency pendulum comes to swing back around and they sign people, to your point, the culture setters. They'll be the highest paid guys on the team because of how the contracts go. But can they be the key pieces? I mean, they just let a Marcus Smart go where that was sort of his role in Washington. Kelly Olynyk, they traded him to the Spurs where that was his role with Washington too. So they've had those drops of the culture setters. now it really is. This does seem like a franchise that is starting to turn the page of, okay, we need the young guys to play. We got to figure out who can ball and who we can extend. Meanwhile, they'll keep drafting and keep trying in free agency too, Tay.
And look, dude, I love the Trey Johnson pick because they went and got rid of Jordan Poole, so they lost their electrifying scorer. We know he wasn't that in Washington, but they lost their go get a bucket guy. And they went and got one because that was the question marks around the rest of this roster. Like, who is the guy that you just get the ball to and has superstar level potential to just, hey, this is 25 a night. He could be, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Trey Johnson could be that kind of guy in this league. We'll have to wait and see how they use him and how they integrate him into this team, especially when you do have a CJ McCollum who can play minutes right now, when you do have a Chris Middleton who can play minutes. Like, these guys are 25 plus minute a night guys for sure, if not 30 or more, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see how they integrate him, but they gotta identify the superstar. Who of these guys can be the guy that's a superstar? If not, you got to make a trade, dog. You have all these picks that you've used, all this talent in the building. Like I told the Houston Rockets last year, and their fans were upset at me, like, you don't have a guy. You need to go get the guy. And they finally went and did it. They should have did it at the trade deadline last year, but that's hearsay. Now I'm looking at this Washington Wizards team, and I'm saying, okay, you got a year, you got 2 years. Let's identify the guy over the next 2 years. If in 2 years we're looking and we say, hey, we don't got a guy, package some of these talented players who can, I think all of these dudes can be valuable NBA players, and move them along to get the guy.
Because eventually, too, there has to be some like credibility to this roster where you want to land guys in free agency. Who do they want to play with? These young dudes that are unproven, like no vets, no talented players that are like proven pros in the league want to come to DC. That's a tough part with the Wizards, too. They have to break whatever their image is around this league, too, of just being a joke of a franchise, because that's what they've been since 2018. They made the draft picks right. They got the young, talented players. Like, to your point, you have to swing a trade because you're going to have to, like, make a good player come here, and then you keep going with the culture. You got the young talent. Then it should start working in free agency. I just don't know if it ever works for DC, man. This is just a team that forever's in limbo, in my opinion. It's just how they've been our entire lives.
Yeah, they do. We got 20 seconds left, so say goodbye to the people. We could talk more DC later.
Oh, you're done talking Wizards? You're done talking Wizards?
Yeah.
He's Ountae Campbell. I'm George Balekji. That's it for the Wizards preview. Shout out to Oklahoma City Thunder and their preview. We're done with the West, but you guys know where to catch us every Tuesday, Thursday, 1 to 2 p.m. on Nessa Nation. Catch everything on YouTube as well. Follow Tay and myself on social media. This was Hold My Banner. We'll see you guys next time, Thursday afternoon.
Peace.